Sky and I collaborate every single day on emails, how to write them, studying the open lines, the subject lines, the open rates and the subject lines, the body copy. Sky, we're going to talk about email now and helping our advisors really structure high converting emails. So what have you got in your bag of tricks for us today, buddy?
Yeah, I think if you all were with us a couple of weeks, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we talked about email subject lines, didn't we? And we kind of went through and discussed, because if you think about it, I like to think about things kind of in a logical progression. If you think about it, the email, the subject line of your email is the thing that you're going to get them to open it. That's the first thing you have to do. You've got to get them to open your email. If they don't open your email, then everything else is just a waste of time with your email because they're not actually seeing it. So we kind of went through that and went through the 4U formula where we talked about making subject lines urgent and useful, unique, and ultra specific. And so the goal of the subject line is to get people to open it, but then what? And so actually, I'll ask the audience here. We'll see if we'll do a little participation here. If the goal of the subject line is to get people to open the email, I would ask you guys, what do you think the goal of the first line of copy is? Does anyone have an idea what the goal of the first line of copy would be of an email? Keeping in mind that the subject line is what you want to do to actually get them to open it. And then you've got that first line, and
we got some nice, can you see the comments, Sky?
Let's see here. Oh yeah, I had to scroll down here. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, we've actually got, so Kevin, you're right on the money there, man. Give them a reason to read the next line. So that's 100% correct. Is the goal, the subject line is to get them to open the email. The goal of the first line of copy is to get them to read the second. The goal of the second is to get them to read the third, and I'll spare you from going on and on, but that is what we call kind of in the copywriting world, we call it like a slippery slope, basically, is what you want to do when you're writing the email copy is you want to get them to start sliding down this slope because there's so many distractions in their inbox, on their phone, on what's going on outside the window. There's so many distractions that once they open your email, you actually got to get them to keep reading. And when you get them on this slope where they read the first one, they go, I got to read that second line. They start sliding. Before they know it, if you can get them past the first 4 or 5 lines, they're probably going to stick around for the rest of it. So it's really the battle is getting them to fight through those first few lines. And so I've got a couple of tactics that we like to use around here and that work really well in the industry as far as getting people on that slippery slope. And the first one is personalization. Very simple. People are psychologically programmed to look and listen for their names. Like they've done a study, you might have seen this study before, but there's where they actually say people's names and they've got them hooked up to a brain scanner and they're looking at their brain, the image of their brain, they're saying different names. And when someone actually hears their own name, a portion of their brain lights up that is related to their personality and their core identity. It's the same part of the brain that lights up when they're thinking about who they are. And the most amazing thing about that study is they do that actually with people who are in a vegetative state, who are actually they're unable to move, they're unconscious, they can't speak or open their eyes. And when they say their name, that is same exact part of the brain lights up, which I think is just absolutely amazing. And I think we can use that same concept in email by calling people by their name. It's so easy. If you're on an email platform, you just put in a simple little tag and you call them by their name. And when someone sees their name, it instantly says, okay, this is for me. Whether or not they realize it's automated or not, and some of them might, really beside the point. It's the fact that you see your name and it gets you to focus in and say, okay, this is for me. So I think that's an easy one. Another big one is the concept of open loops. And an open loop is basically, once you understand what an open loop is, you'll actually see it everywhere in your life. I mean, it's in entertainment and marketing and advertising everywhere. And it's basically just when you start a story or a concept and you start telling the story and then you actually kind of stop and it primes the brain to naturally and seek out the conclusion. So when you're telling a story and you kind of stop and you take a break, the other person hears that and they involuntarily and naturally want to find the conclusion to that story. And you'll see it I'll give you some examples. Like you'll see it in TV shows, right? It's why they give you the climactic point right before a commercial break. is because they want you to come back. I mean, they want you to watch the ads, right? But they want you to think, okay, well, I have to see what the ending of this is. You'll see it on radio spots all the time. You know, it's like when the DJ comes on and he's, you'll never believe what 78% of people do right before they brush their teeth every morning. And then you got to come back and listen. And it's like, you don't even really care what 78% of people do before they brush their teeth in the morning, but you want to come back. And it's very effective in email. So you can do it the same way, and you'll start noticing it as you read emails that open loops are an effective way. Like I can say something like, this would be an email, for example, hey, Jeremiah, I've got something I really think you're going to find valuable. I've been studying the latest tax changes, and there's, by my estimate, 3 ways that 75% of Americans can save an extra $1,000 in their taxes each year. But before I get to that, there's something else I need to tell you. And then you go into the body of what something else, it's got to be kind of related, but what you want to tell them and what you want them to read. And what you've done there is you've created an open loop where, hold up, I want to know how I can save an extra $1,000 on my taxes. So I'm about to read the rest of this email word for word until I find out what the answer to that is. And then you come up on the backside, and you always have to, the key is you always have to fulfill the promise you make with the open loop too. So you've got to come back then, and you could touch on that. But does that make sense to everyone? Is there anything you would add to that, Jeremiah? I think open loops are really an effective way to just keep people engaged and keep them flowing down the copy.
Yeah, I was thinking that a best way to describe an open loop is a cliffhanger that happens at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Like soap operas are the best for that, right? Like I've never actually seen a soap opera in my life, but from what I can tell, there's millions of people addicted to them. And it's because they create something at the end that like you're not going to know what's going to happen until you watch the next one. So you're really just front loading that and putting it at the beginning. So it doesn't mean this is not a bait and switch. What you're just doing is because what happens if somebody reads, if you deliver on the promise in the first 3 lines, then why should I read the rest of the email? I don't need to, right? So put it down at the bottom and create a story, use a story that actually supports, and then say, so that led me to the discovery of this important piece. And if you guys really want to get amazing, you can only give them one of the secrets, and then they click or reply to get the rest. So I think that's going to take us into our next one. Did you have anything else you wanted to hit on that? Because I have a little model I want to give to everybody today.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. That covered it. Stacy, there, I saw your comment. Do you close the loop in the same email? And I think Jeremiah just kind of answered that. So typically, yes, or you're going to give them an avenue to where they can find the answer to it. So there's a couple of avenues to go there, but yes.
Yeah, real good. And by the way, that was a great one about the tax changes, and I want to give them to you. But before I do that, like my mind literally went, oh, okay. All right, now I'm going to stick around.
Right.
Good job, buddy. Thank you so much for what you do.
Absolutely. We'll see you.
All right.